Thieves will steal our cash, our cars, our valuables. Just about anything they can get their hands on. But now the police are using cutting-edge technology to catch the bad guys.
The CCTV is gold dust.
Great evidence for the police.
Got to have him stopped.
Local councils, shops and businesses are fighting crime with their own tricks and traps.
There's a eureka moment when you get that evidence.
And the public are using secret cameras to make sure crooks get their comeuppance.
It makes me feel so angry.
He's paid the price, he's being dealt with.
Yes, we've got her.
So anyone who's up to no good had better think twice. They might just get caught red-handed. Today, suddenly armed robbers leap over the counters of a shop in a shocking attack. The owner, Ali, puts his life on the line so his colleagues can escape.
I knew I had to do something to divert his attention so the girls could run to safety.
But his assistant, Pav, doesn't want to leave her boss behind.
He was bleeding on the back of his head. Felt like, I should help him.
Also today, 80-year-old Mel is targeted by a predatory thief. Cameras at a motorway services show what Mel can't see. Her every move is being stalked by a shadowy stranger.
It's awful to think that somebody's actually following you and got you in the sights.
This man in the cap preys on older people, but police are on his trail. The hunter's about to become the hunted. And Tracy is the manager of a women-only gym.
No men obviously come into the club unless something needs fixing. They're good for something.
But late one night, a man does come in, and he's up to no good.
I want to scream at the screen and say, "That's my stuff, give it me back."
Long-term Newcastle resident Ali has run a shop with a post office in the west end of the city for 7 years.
I used to have a coach company before this, and I've always got on well with the public, and that's what I love about this job. You see all different kinds of people coming in. I'm doing something helpful, and it's a really huge part of my life.
Pav has been a member of Ali's team for 4 years.
Ali, generally, he just likes to have a joke on with all the customers. Never takes anything too seriously, which is good. You need to have a laugh.
But Ali and Pav are about to face a situation which is as serious as it gets. It's late morning in November. Ali's behind the shop counter and Pav is in the separate post office section of the store with a female colleague. The store's security cameras show how this man in a blue hoodie approaches the shop. He walks in and heads straight to Ali.
This guy came in with a hood on, and he came to my counter first, and then the post office counter.
The man goes over to where Pav is serving another customer. He then leaves without doing any business and makes a call on his phone. 20 minutes later, he comes back with another man in a hoodie. The men enter the store and split up. And then, suddenly, this quiet morning takes a violent turn. One of the men launches himself across the counter to attack Ali.
I couldn't believe my eyes. I thought it was just a disgruntled customer, When he jumped over the counter and struggled with me, that's when I realised that, it was a lot more serious and I had to sort of defend myself.
Pav watches on, horrified.
There's things flying all over. He's really laying into him. I felt like, I should help him, but at the same time I thought if I go out there, help him, he could attack myself.
Ali realises the man has a weapon.
He had a knife to my throat. He shouted, "Give me the money, give me the money."
But on the other side of the shop, there's more horror to come when the robber's accomplice jumps onto the post office counter. Pav and her colleague are terrified.
He just shouted, "Give us your cash." Seeing him holding a knife, you fear for your life. I thought he's going to jump over. If he jumps over, then what do I do?
One of them was threatening the girls then. You know, I knew I had to do something to divert his attention so the girls could run to safety. That's why I struggled with my guy.
Ali takes on the man with the knife and gets pushed to the floor. The robber reaches for the money in the till, but Ali keeps fighting and wrestles him away. As Ali hopes, the robber's accomplice is distracted by the struggle, and Pav realises there could be a chance to escape into the back office.
I could see the key on the ledge where we keep it, and I just thought I've just got to grab that key. I thought if I don't and he jumps over, then it could get a lot worse.
But Pav doesn't want to go for the key while the robber's watching her. Ali continues to fight.
Couldn't get the better of me, so he called his friend over to give him a hand.
Ali's plan has worked. When the other robber leaves the post office section, Pav gets the key and escapes with her colleague. But Ali is now outnumbered.
Got the full brunt of both of them.
And suddenly, Ali's situation becomes even more serious. Both men have knives, and the second robber aims his knife at Ali's head.
I was feeling sharp blows. The blood was trickling down the back of my neck. It was really horrible.
Pav is absolutely horrified as she watches through the back office window.
You feel really helpless. Got the phone, dialed 999.
But Ali's resistance has paid off. The robbers give up on the raid and flee from the store.
I tried to stop one of them from jumping back over the counter, but I think I was too tired after that.
The men run out of the shop and Ali chases after them.
There was no plan. I just wanted to see where they'd gone to so I could, let the police know where they were.
Ali loses sight of the robbers, but thanks to his bravery, they've gone away empty-handed.
When they finally left, it was a sense of relief. And, they've gone. I can go out and see if Ali's all right.
I was just hyper,
He was bleeding on the back of his head and on his forehead. Obviously shocked and a little bit upset.
The knife was hitting me on the back of the head. Thank God that's one of the hardest parts there for a knife to pierce as well. It was, and luckily I got away with minor injuries.
Within minutes, the police arrive and start gathering evidence. To the relief of PC Phil Thoburn, who's heading the investigation, several witnesses come forward.
The first witness had simply seen two men running quickly away from the post office. The witnesses thought, well, this must be something.
The witness says the men ran down a lane near Ali's store.
Luckily, another resident near the bottom of the street directed police to a house where they saw two males going in through the back door.
Police knock on the door, but no one answers. So they force entry and find two men inside.
Both males insist their innocence, claim that the police have simply woke them up.
The officers search the house and find hidden clothes and trainers.
This clothing becomes crucial to the investigation because it matches up with the clothing worn by the offenders caught on CCTV.
The suspects are arrested and taken into custody.
Both denied the offence. It's always the police's responsibility to prove identification.
Phil re-examines the CCTV.
We were fortunate that whilst this was a planned robbery, you'd have to say the offenders weren't good at it. They weren't good at it because you'll see as they come in the store that they offer up a clear facial shot. As they come in, facial shots, all great for identification from a police perspective.
The images look identical to the men they've just arrested. And that's not all.
The two counters that the offenders had jumped upon were examined, and from there 2 footprints were recovered. These 2 footprints have been examined against the footwear recovered from the offenders, and we established that the same size and model of footwear corresponded exactly.
Faced with this damning evidence, both men admit to the crime.
I was overwhelmed that they'd caught them the same day. I just couldn't believe it.
In court, the 22-year-old who first attacked Ali was jailed for 4 years. The 19-year-old who threatened Pav before joining in the assault on Ali was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months in prison. Despite the ordeal, life soon returned to normal for Ali and Pav.
I wasn't going to let the two young lads scare us or put us off coming into work. All of the regular customers were lovely. They all came in to ask how we were doing, and they were really concerned. So it was quite nice to know you're cared for.
I was really happy that it didn't get away with anything, and I was really proud of myself as well. I had that satisfied feeling. It was really nice.
Fortunately, not all crime is serious crime. Not while there are inept criminals like these two. They're trying to break into these premises late at night. Strange choice. It's not a bank, nor a shop. It's an estate agent's. But they're clearly keen to view this property. One of them casually leans against the door trying to look innocent before breaking the lower window. Maybe they think the door needs a cat flap, but as they crawl through it, it's obvious these two are no cat burglars because they're getting a right flap when the alarm goes off. And they run around like Tom and Jerry before deciding to turn tail back through the flap. An estate agent isn't exactly a prime location for a burglary anyway. There's nothing to steal, just pens and property details. And they left behind a couple of important details themselves. They didn't cover their faces. The footage has been handed to the police, who hope somebody can identify these two prized properties so that they can be taken off the market. It's important to keep an eye on our debit and credit cards because some light-fingered criminals will do just about anything to get their dirty mitts on our plastic. The popular seaside resort of Scarborough is home to 80-year-old Mel and her husband of 57 years, John. They loved visiting the town so much, they decided to move here in 1998.
It is lovely. I don't draw the curtains, you know, and I wake up in the morning to sunshine occasionally. And the sunsets we get are fabulous.
But nice as Scarborough is, it can get chilly during the winter. So Mel and John occasionally go to Florida to soak up the sun while splashing out on presents for their grandchildren.
At that time of year, it's perfect. I love it.
Mel sometimes has to go out to America ahead of John because of his work commitments. Even though she finds it difficult to walk, Mel doesn't let it stop her travelling alone.
As soon as I get to the airport, there's a wheelchair, and everybody is so nice.
But Mel's latest trip to America almost ends in heartbreak when she becomes the target of a ruthless thief. It's just before Christmas, and Mel's driving down to stay with her son near Gatwick before her flight the next day. After a short stint behind the wheel, she feels she needs a break.
Once you start wanting the loo, you want the loo.
She pulls into a service station on the M1 in Derbyshire.
And there was a knock on the window, and there was this man, and he made a sign with his hand, said he wanted money and he wanted to eat. So I said, I'm sorry, do you speak English? No. So I just got my purse and I emptied it. There was only about 40-odd-p. He didn't even say thank you nicely, which was naughty. And off he went.
Mel gets out of the car and puts her purse in her jacket pocket. She doesn't realise it, but she's being watched. The service station's CCTV shows Mel making her way into the services. On the other side of the entrance, the cameras show the man she gave money to has come in ahead of her. He's waiting with another man and a woman.
I saw the man sitting on a bench, and he looked at me, and he didn't show any recognition at all. And I thought, well, how, you know, it would have been polite.
But Mel certainly does have the attention of the man in the flat cap. He follows her with his friends. As Mel browses round the shops, he stays close by. Distracted, she doesn't realise she's being stalked. She pauses at a bookstand. The man's companion appears to put her hand towards Mel's pocket, but quickly pulls it away again when a member of the public walks close by. Oblivious to what's happening, Mel strolls on, out of sight of the cameras. The man in the flat cap follows. 10 minutes later, when Mel gets back to her car, she gets a shock.
Put my hand in my pocket and there was no purse.
After searching the car, she thinks she must have dropped the purse and retraces her steps to try and find it. But no joy.
So I'd lost my driving licence and all of my cards and £400.
She's now stranded and calls her husband, who drives down to meet her at the service station.
My husband came and gave me some more money, and off I went.
Mel continues to her son's house, where next morning a security man from the service station calls her. Having watched the CCTV, he suspects she's the victim of pickpocketing.
Just couldn't believe it. You know, I thought, it really must be awful that that's your way of living, is taking money from people. I didn't feel kindly about him, whoever he was.
It turns out there are other victims who don't feel too kindly about the man in the flat cap either. Detective Sergeant Kev Morrissey from Buxton Police Station in Derbyshire has been investigating a spate of crimes that bear similar hallmarks to Mel's theft.
One of the saddest aspects of this investigation, really, virtually every victim that we've dealt with, apart from the odd couple, the odd one or two, have been elderly, female and vulnerable.
Kev is gathering CCTV evidence of the crimes which have been happening around supermarkets too. And he's noticed there's one person who keeps popping up in the footage. The man in the flat cap. Here he's seen standing next to an elderly couple. As they turn to leave, the couple are crowded and jostled. While she's distracted, the woman's purse vanishes from her handbag.
They just go about their daily business and they don't realise they've just been a victim of theft.
Kev continues to build up CCTV evidence against the man. While some of the crimes are pickpocketing, others are more sophisticated, as this footage from another shop shows.
This time he's not got his hat on.
His target is this customer paying at the checkout. He goes and stands behind her.
The victim's now putting her card into the PIN card machine and she's now putting her PIN number in.
And he's in a perfect position to spy the woman's PIN number.
So she's now about to push her trolley over, out of the way. There's the principal offender that's been stood there all the time.
The man then follows her to the car park and steals her handbag while she's putting her shopping into her car. Later, he uses the PIN number to take £500 from her bank account.
It's horrendous, horrible.
Kev is appalled when he sees Mel being targeted at the service station.
You saw sort of Mel shuffling along and saw how vulnerable she was. This makes me so angry that they're so close and yet she's completely oblivious, completely unaware of what's going to happen. You almost want to tap her on the shoulder and say, look behind you.
He suspects this prolific thief's crimes extend far beyond Derbyshire, so sends a still image of him to forces across the country.
Out of the 43 forces that I put the bulletin out to, I think I was 35 responses, the people that had similar problems. A police officer in Bedfordshire recognised my image and sent me an email back saying, this is the man you're looking for, I've had dealings with him.
The officer gives Kev the suspect's name and tells him the man is from Eastern Europe and travels home regularly. Kev sends his image to ports and airports all over the UK, and the man is soon stopped trying to board a flight.
They'd done a check on him, realised he was wanted by a number of forces and stopped the flight and arrested him.
The 27-year-old suspect is interviewed under caution. Faced with the evidence Kev has built up against him, the man admits to committing many crimes across the UK. In court, he was sentenced to 1 year and 9 months in prison. When Mel sees for the first time the footage of how she was targeted, she's horrified.
It's awful to think that you're just sort of wandering around and somebody's actually following you and put you in the sights. I certainly am a little bit more careful now.
But what about your holiday, Mel? How did it go?
It was lovely. And when John came, it was smashing. We had a nice time.
Thieves can find it all too easy to steal from us when we're out and about and distracted by what we're doing. So, what can we do to keep them at bay?
Keep your valuable items somewhere completely safe. So if you're carrying a handbag, make sure it's across your body rather than just along the side.
Gents, don't put your wallet in your back pocket where it's really easy to be taken. And concentrate on your surroundings. Don't always focus on your mobile phone while you're walking down the road.
Sometimes the way we act can deter a thief from targeting us. So, for example, if we are confident, we walk with purpose, and we act like we know what we're doing, then often they won't bother approaching.
Distraction doesn't just take place in the street. Sometimes people pretending to be from the water board or from the gas company may turn up and try and distract you on your doorstep. So don't shy away from challenging them. Close the door while you check their credentials. And if that means ringing the company, that's fine.
Like most towns these days, Warrington in Cheshire has dozens of fitness centres. One of them, a women-only health club, was opened by Tracy and her friend Kim 10 years ago. Tracy had wanted to run a gym from an early age.
When I was 17, I saw a job advertisement for a gym instructor, and I actually went for the job, and they said, "But you're not a qualified gym instructor." I said, "I know, but I want to be." And they said, "I look quite like your attitude, yeah, we'll train you." And I was general manager by 18.
But 3 years later, the company left the area.
I was devastated, but I had all these members with nowhere to go. So I found this place.
Tracy rents a section of a former factory called Evans House, now a busy centre full of separate businesses. David Evans recently took over the running of the building from his father.
Evans House is a family-run business. We used to manufacture tents. After that, we predominantly started investing in commercial property. We ended up with this big building. A lot of the tenants have been here for a long, long time. It's almost not a business centre, it's almost a community hub.
Tracy's decision to move to Evans House and make the health club female only has proved a resounding success.
No men obviously come into the club unless something needs fixing. They're good for something. But obviously, with us being a ladies-only club, it's very rare for a man to come into it. And it's very personal space for us. It is a ladies-only gym for that reason.
But one night, a man does enter the club. He's not there to fix something, though. He's there to take things. It's just gone 11 p.m. A guard from a security company patrols the building at night. The arrangement is he calls David if anything's wrong, and he's just called.
You get the phone call and you think, I know what this is going to be. It's the right time, and it comes up on my phone as Sentry Security.
David phones the police and goes to the building. When he gets there, he finds a pane of toughened glass has been smashed in the door to Tracy's gym.
You could see on the other side that there was a breeze block and quite a lot of shattered glass, so obviously that was what they'd used to get through the door.
At home, Tracy discovers 2 missed calls from David and rings him back.
Obviously, for David to be ringing me at 11:30, something is seriously wrong, as the whole building burnt down. And then obviously he answered and said, "You've had a break-in at the club."
While Tracy heads to the gym, David bravely decides to go inside, even though intruders could still be there.
I don't know whether they've broken in 5 minutes ago or 5 hours ago, and that's why I wanted to have a look.
David goes through the hole in the door so he can open a fire exit to let police officers in. Tracy arrives soon after.
Not thinking about it, I was crawling on my hands and knees to get through this quite a small door.
Cut all his arms and hands at the same time.
And it was bleeding all over the place, but I didn't really have time to complain about it.
He was more concerned about us, the club. He wanted to make sure that it was okay. I think that kind of took over.
I had to go to the back of the unit as fast as possible to let the police in, just in case anyone was in there, because on my own I've no idea how many people there were at this point.
David opens the fire doors for the police and they start searching. Tracy's anxious to see what's happened.
I'm thinking, has my gym equipment gone? That'd be disastrous for me. So I open the door and just pure relief that all the equipment is still there, just shining at me, all the lights are still flashing.
There's no sign of the intruders, but they do find that drawers, bags and cupboards have been rifled through. Tracy's distraught when she realises her laptop is missing.
I would do anything to have that laptop back. It's got 10 years worth of marketing, promotions, but it's also got personal things on there as well, obviously pictures of my kids, my wedding. Obviously they've all gone.
David checks the night CCTV recording. He has cameras that overlook all the building's entry points.
That's when we went through all the footage and found the last person in the building. Clear as day, straight up the stairs with a breeze block in hand.
He shows the footage to Tracy and the police.
This is him then. On here is a list of where all the businesses are. So it's like he's picking which one that he's going to go into.
The man goes outside to pick up a breeze block. While the building's entrance doors open until late in the evening, the businesses inside are all locked up.
There he comes in now with his breeze block in his hand.
But this intruder clearly isn't the sharpest of criminals.
But you can see there he's got nothing to cover his face, no gloves on, his prints are everywhere. And obviously he'll come up the stairs now to the club.
The burglar spends half an hour in the gym. The CCTV cameras pick him up again as he's leaving.
When you see him with the bag there, you think, oh my God, that's like one of my girl's bags. I want to scream at the screen and say, that's my stuff, give it me back.
And inside the bag is Tracy's precious laptop.
Yeah, if you see him there, he's got my laptop cable round his mouth. Why he does that, I don't know. And then as he walks back down the stairs, he puts his hand there, they've got fingerprints from that. And then he's got the laptop cable just trailing behind. Not bothered in the slightest about looking after it, he's just obviously taking it to sell it.
The police take still images from the footage to try and identify the man. And David also wants to do some detective work.
Ever since I took over running the family business, I've decided to use social media a lot more in marketing. And I just thought, there must be someone that knows this gentleman. Let's go and put it on social media and see what happens.
So I did the same on my personal social media account, and within minutes, it was everywhere.
Tracy finds the response from friends and strangers reassuring.
When you've been broken into, you think that the world's against you, but obviously people come to you and say, well, what can we do to help you? It's really humbling to think that people are like that, really.
We got about 20,000 likes on it, and we knew very quickly who the gentleman was, or at least had the idea to pass him to the police then.
The police had identified the same suspect. They soon track him down and arrest him. In court, he pleaded guilty to the burglary and was also found guilty of possession of a weapon. He was sentenced to 20 weeks in prison. Tracy didn't let the burglary throw her business off track. She was soon back in the saddle.
Nothing stops us. It was actually our 10-year anniversary that weekend that he broke in. So I was determined I would not be shut at all. So by 10 o'clock we were open.
And the thief had better steer clear of Tracy's gym from now on.
If this man was ever to step foot anywhere near here, they'd have 1,000 members ready to pin him down.
That's all for today. Thousands of criminals are captured on camera every year. Make sure you join us next time to see more villains who've been caught red-handed.